what's happening right now is like very wild to me. Like I feel like this is like the biggest thing in my life because like I'm like waking up and I'm just like trying to digest everything that's happening right now with like the tariffs and all this shit.
Would it change your vote?
Would I change my vote? I don't think so.
I wouldn't either, but it's worthy of a pause. It's worthy of
My position is so simple. It's just like something is better than nothing. They're doing something.
Maybe.
Well, I think we know what they're doing now, right?
Yeah.
I think we know what they're doing now. Like there was a
what do they do? Okay. What are they doing? I think they're flipping over the chessboard as we described.
They are trying, like some people are like, oh, this is like they're viewing the shit through like some like economics lens or like, oh, they're trying to reshore. You can't reshore manufacturing. It's all fucking nonsense. Like what they're doing is playing some like uber high stakes gambit to just like reorient the entire world back into the US sphere of influence and cut China out.
Right.
Like they're trying to like fucking strong arm everybody into just like not trading with China, and they don't care if manufacturing gets reshored to the US. They just want it reshored into the US
to our allies
sphere of influence.
Agree. And I feel like we're in an economic war with China without anyone knowing it. Like I feel like we know it, but it doesn't seem like the world knows it. But it seems like we're in a war against China, and it's taking a while for like the rest of the world to catch up with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gravity of the situation is like quite large right now. Like, I think we have like set in motion things that probably cannot be taken back, and like either China or the US at the end of this is going to be like completely
wildly better off. I think like one of the two is going to be wildly better off.
Yeah, like I don't see any other outcomes.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's probably the craziest gambit that any politician in the last, like, I don't know, like I can't think of like a more wild like bet like anybody has sort of placed on anything.
It's cool to me that this is like, I've come to this conclusion that this is what flipping the chessboard over looks like to me. It's like we restructure global trade such that China's cut out of it. That's what flipping the chessboard over is.
And as long as you maintain leverage, the cost is worthwhile, relatively speaking.
If we can get our allies on board, which I think they have no other choice,
right,
but to do.
And we're not like carroting anybody. Like we're just full blown stick.
Yeah.
Like it's just like all stick. Mm-hmm. Just like very, very risky because you're basically slapping the Europeans upside the face and then being like, ally with us, don't ally with China.
But you can only do that when you operate from a position of maximum leverage.
But I don't know how much leverage we have right now, which is why it's very scary. Like if this goes awry, like it could be very, very, very bad, right? Like you talk about like the end of the American Empire.
Quick anecdote. There was this tweet that went around from the founder of Cuts, the shirt company. And the TLDR. You used to love
those shirts, right? You used to love those shirts.
Yeah. Yeah. I wore them. Yeah. They're good. No, I wear black. I need to get the white ones because they you know, they're decent. They're decent.
Well, they have like a little scoop shape.
Like the shape is great and all that. So obviously they're made in China. And his point was he put out a tweet. It was a letter to Trump, to President Trump. And he was like, look, I'm a huge supporter. I voted for you 3 times. And I'm making a plea for you to understand that what you're trying to do can't happen overnight. Give us time. And I think of people like Nick that are also affected like this by this, right? And his ask was like, this takes time. And we can't just like overnight move our operations when we don't have clear guidance. It actually, you know, it interestingly enough reminds me of like what happened to the crypto industry. Like there was lack of guidance, there was lack of clarity, lack of transparency, obviously completely different industry and completely different stakes. But so many of these companies that are American companies that manufacture in China, that have provided jobs and have done cool things, are really, really, really stretched and stressed right now. And they're not going to be able to operate, and they're going to fail.
So if you're not,
and his point was like, if we fail, and many of these companies like mine fail, this is a consequence that perhaps you're not factoring in. You don't want us to lose. That wasn't your intention. Right. Your intention was to bring manufacturing back to America, or at least
this his whole thing is what I'm talking about. Like, anybody who's doing this is like, they're completely missing the entire fucking point. Like, people are
but they are the ones that are actually feeling it,
right? But like, it's been like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, but if you're operating on like a
you're going
3% EBITDA margin,
that doesn't fucking matter. Like, we're going against China is operating on these like multi-decade margins, right? So the idea that this is about reshoring manufacturing, I don't think it is. And then you're sort of like, Trump is really, really good. I don't think Trump is an idiot. I don't. But he's really, really good at making people think that he's a fucking idiot, right? And like, everybody does think he's an idiot because like, you have this guy like being like explaining stuff to him that like
as if he doesn't understand.
Of course they know this. It's like the most basic of basic economics. They know this stuff like 100%. 100% they know this. But they're like arguing for an outcome without even understanding like the game that's like being
it's
played
a utilitarian argument.
Okay.
It's a utilitarian approach. It's like the cost is worthwhile for cuts and similar companies to pay the price and to suffer for this greater good of, per Eric's point.
But it's not even like they're not even designed to suffer. It's like, if this is a sub 1 year game. This is probably like a 6 to 9 month window, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is all they have because there's elections. And if they don't accomplish this by midterms, they lose Congress. It's over. Lame duck. Trump becomes Herbert Hoover. His legacy's toast, right? So all of this stuff is like, we're like arguing about these crazy things, but like, there's like a literal like 6 month window, probably 6 to 9 month window where all this stuff is going to happen. I want to read some highlights from The Art of the Deal to you. And like, see if it sounds
you're really exuding Nick tonight.
Yeah. So, key insights from Trump's Art of the Deal. 1, the anchor. Start with an extreme position. Make it seem non-negotiable. Let others react to your number, not theirs.
Yeah.
For example,
it's a great move.
Everybody thinks you're going to tariff like 10%, and then you tariff China like 200% or something crazy. 2, information overload. Create multiple discussion points, change topics frequently, keep opponents off balance,
chaos.
Make it impossible to focus on one issue. I think we're on 2 right now. We're like midway through 2, probably, right? Like, there's like, again, like, I think people are looking through this thinking there's like
trying to find
randomness here, but it's like actually kind of like he has like the script. 3, the real deal. Now negotiations begin. Original expectations are forgotten. Your compromise seems reasonable.
Yep.
Both sides can claim victory. 4, the narrative. Control how the outcome is perceived. The story matters more than the details. Frame concessions as wins.
It's a good book.
Right, it's all right there in the book.
Yeah, it's
like we're watching it play out. So yeah, like we're in 2, which is basically like chaos / information overload after we've created an anchor to absurdity. And then it's just like, I see people like making these like intellectual, like reasoned arguments about something that is literally intended to be like a grenade chucked into a room to just blow shit up. Like, you're just reasoning with intentional chaos. Like, it's telling you it's like intentional chaos.
I think what you're talking about is like a fact of all politics all the time.
No, this is like what Trump does is like next level.
I know what Trump. I know Trump is following a specific playbook, but I think people miss the forest for the trees all the time. when it comes to politics. We get tribal, we focus on these details that don't matter, and there's really something else going on. There's a bigger motive, there's a bigger plan, and I think that's very accurate.
Okay, so how about this? Like, he's following the playbook, that's fine. There will be long-term implications of how this thing plays out, right? And if we reconfigure global trade in a way that like makes goods slightly more expensive over a long period of time, that has an impact on the economy too. And I actually think that like a 20 to 30% drawdown in stocks broadly is like quite accurate in terms of like the present value of like how we're going to pay higher prices for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think this is reasonable. You know, if you even model this out in like a DCF model and you say like, oh, shit's going to cost more, margins are going to compress for companies, maybe 20, 30% down is actually like finding like water finding its level.
Yeah. Like what I worry is that everybody is, especially like in our generation, is like anchored to this reality that like doesn't exist. Like as an investor, right? Do you ever think about investing in like non-US equities?
I had like grown up thinking about it because it was like taught to me
Yes.
to do.
I remember it as a kid.
Yeah,
me too.
like having international equity exposure was part of your long-term positioning. But then for 25 years, it was a drag on your portfolio. So like asset
Nobody does it
allocators
anymore.
Moved away from it because why would you maintain
US
that?
stocks only go up.
Yeah.
Right? Or just the idea that like stocks only go up in general is like it's like a very modern phenomenon, because as you know, there are multi-decade periods not that long ago where you bought stocks and best case you were like sideways.
Yeah, Chem Carson put out a piece of content recently. It was like, this reminds me of 1968 to 82, where the market would go up 25%, down 25%, but then at the end of the day, you have like a lost decade essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like what I'm worried about at a very high level is sort of some iteration of like you know the meme that we use in crypto, where it's like I guess it's a meme we adapted for crypto, but it's like the hard times make strong men make good times make weak men
Make bad times. Yeah.
Right? I am very afraid that we're in sort of like the good times. We've gone through the good times make weak men, and now the country is largely like weak men. I use men in the kind of multi-gender sense, right? Which would imply that the weak men are going to make weak times. You know, like we haven't gone through the weak times. Like we've been only through good times. And when I look around at people, like I think about, you remember like the TikToks from like the girls who are like project managers at like Facebook, and they're just like by a fucking pool, like drinking cocktails and shit. Like
I know that video and all the videos.
that is emblematic of so much of American society. Like these people aren't gonna go work in
A factory.
fucking sewing factory. Like it's never going to happen.
But I also don't think it needs to happen. So I've thought about this too. I think what the outcome that we desire is that some critical manufacturing comes back to the United States. Like if Taiwan Semi can have a presence in Arizona like it currently does, that alleviates some of our risk, you know? We don't need to like sew garments in the United States. That can be outsourced to South America or something. Like we can have our allies make goods as well, particularly the goods that we don't need to make here, but some of it needs to be made here, some. And that will result in slightly higher prices over a long period of time. And for that, margins get compressed at the corporate level. And because of that, valuations come down. And I think some of valuations coming down is justifiable over a long period of time. I think it's rational. I think it's fine. But I don't think that we need to like reposition everybody into being like sewing manufacturers or something.
And I don't think we are, but like at the margins, we've been able to basically convert into this gigantic service-based economy because we're shipping all this stuff out to China. We got world reserve currency, Triffin's dilemma, et cetera, et cetera. And right, like we basically have this sort of exorbitant privilege where everybody just invests in US assets, and it like enables all of the stuff you saw on TikTok, right? So although I don't think these people are literally going to go and work in sewing factories and we're going to bring factories back here, like at the margins, it does seem like there has to be like a bit of like a massive realignment. And like,
Agreed.
how do we cope with that as a society? Like, can we cope with that? Like, are people going to deal with that?
And it's exacerbated by AI replacing labor as well. Like I think it's pretty high probability that we go into recession.
Yeah, like my fear is that people don't deal with that. They're just going to be like, no, I don't like this. And then you're going to get like an AOC who comes along and they're just going to pitch like, no, you don't have to work in the factory. The government will just like give you everything you want. We just had to like take the wealth from these greedy, and then we're just going to like play out like Atlas Shrugged, basically.
Yeah. So instead of like hard times making hard people that solve hard problems, we just remain weak and then just
no. And the weak people, instead of doing the hard things, will take the easy way out, and that will create the hard times. It means like the hard times might be
in the future,
very much yet to come.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems likely, right? I hope it doesn't. Seems pretty likely. Let's see how the next 9 months unfold. Maybe we get a realignment of global trade.
I mean, I guess the best case scenario is that we just rebuild China, but entirely within like the Western sphere of influence. Like if you just were like, I don't think you can do this. Like, I don't think you could just like redo China like in Mexico or something.
Right. I think Nick would argue that you certainly can't do it in 9 months.
Like the Chinese at this point, they have like, think about what they have. They have like decades of this technical expertise that has been built up in the realm of manufacturing. And then like, think about what we have. We have like, we're decades out from where we used to do this kind of stuff. Like that sort of expertise is like largely faded from society in a lot of ways, and the desire to do it has faded from society. So we're going to try to just put it on somebody else.
Yeah,
like,
I just wonder if there's like a country that can like, or it's like an aggregation of countries that can help to fill the void, like Philippines and, you know, maybe like more US aligned countries that can step in. And because I don't think the US can fill the void, like you're saying.
Armand, do you think we're too weak
to
do this?
I don't know. And I wonder if there's another layer of like, this is also just one piece of the puzzle and there's actually something even bigger happening.